So when it comes to canine wellness, we can really use a variety of therapies. One therapy, several therapies, a multitude of therapies. Therapies that need to be offered on a daily basis as a way of preventing and avoiding this now fix, as a way of preventing and avoiding our dog's energy systems becoming too lowered, becoming too low in frequency, that is going to create distress and health issues that have much further deep ingrained within a dog's ecosystem and energy system. This is something that we need to avoid. Remember, energy systems are changing all the time, so at the end of our working day, when we're at home with our dogs, when we have time to be present, when we have time to rest, when we have time to relax, when we simply just have time to be with our dogs, is healing in itself. We may want to bring in other healing modalities like smudging, like drumming, or just some simple hand techniques using those figure of eights, using those figure of eights, using these patterns that actually speak to DNA itself, which has been proven. Or we might have more time on our hands and we want to bring these in collectively, as well as bring in the support of plant medicine. These therapies that I've discussed, these therapies that I've described, are the ones that are my most favorite and the ones that really speak out to me, which is why I love working with them. There are techniques and therapies that are really ancient, and what I love is understanding our dogs as genetically ancient canines and how we can bring in these ancient therapies to support their ecosystem. But let's not forget ourselves. We too are genetically ancient beings. We too are genetically ancient humans living in a modern day world. We have an ecosystem, we are an energy system, and the problem that happens to us is a very similar problems that happen to our dogs. We can be subject to the same distresses, disturbances, and imbalances that over time, if we do not protect our own energy systems, this will create disturbances as well. So that's why, as an end, collectively, when we look at the Canine Wellness Wheel, there was that section on you, on me, on us. That first and foremost, it's so important and imperative that we address ourselves, that we love ourselves, that we focus on ourselves, and we really try and understand how we can conserve and realign our own ecosystems so that we are supporting our dog's ecosystem. Remember, from an entrainment perspective or a simple biochemistry perspective, or what we think generates an energy, the way we think, the way we live, the way we act influences the responses our dogs show, influences our dog's energy systems, influences how our dogs, and if our dogs are going to have a long and healthy life, where their health span equals their lifespan. So really, when we think of the Canine Wellness Wheel, we also have the Human Wellness Wheel. All these disturbances and distresses that create shock, create imbalances, affect the energy system of a dog's ecosystem, affect ours as well. We are equally in an ecosystem crisis. We are genetically ancient humans living in a modern day world. We have an ancestral ecosystem, an ancestral immune, digestive, nervous ecosystem that has not caught up with the stresses and demands and expectations of modern day living. This means that our bodies as well can be kept in this sympathetic activity, this sympathetic state of action that creates stress physically, physiologically, psychologically, spiritually, and energetically. With that, our diet has significantly changed to one of a processed food. When we look at it from an energy system perspective, the food that we eat equally contains an energy that can raise our vibrations and create a stable ecosystem, or can actually be a factor that creates us also losing health. And for any animal, whether it's us or whether it's our dog, losing health is about losing wellness, losing energy, and therefore losing frequency. As humans living this modern day world, often our lives are too busy. We may feel like we don't have time, or we feel so disconnected to nature that it's not part of us, that it's not important for us. And actually that is one of the reasons why more and more of us are feeling lost, more and more lonely, depressed, distressed and anxious. Because when we look at it within the biophoton research, when we look at it even from an entrainment perspective, when we have this understanding that everything that is living can communicate to all of the life forms, and yet we choose not to be in nature. We choose not to spend time outside and just simply listening to the sounds of the trees, the sounds of the wildlife, or simply being still in nature. And the importance of how this can actually support our ecosystem, support our health, and therefore in the long term helping our dog's health and helping our dog's ecosystem, then equally it's important for us to spend more time outdoors as well. As humans, we are equally the only animal that has self-limiting doubts or self-limiting beliefs. These might be self-limiting beliefs and doubts that we've created ourselves, or that teachers, films, programs, parents, culture, religion has told us to be or told us to believe. That is why in the therapy section, I absolutely love talking about energy systems and working with vibrational medicine. Because no other animal has self-limiting doubts. No other animal has self-limiting beliefs. When we offer these modalities to the animal, when we offer these modalities to our dogs, they either need them, so they'll accept them. They don't need them, and so they stay away from them. And when they do need them, they may only need them for a matter of seconds. It just depends on how disturbed the dog's ecosystem is. But one of the problems that we have as a result of being human is the fact that we have to train and we have to remember and we have to remind ourselves to be in ceremony daily. And now what I mean by this is just ensuring that our energy systems become rebooted and our energy systems become stabilized. Remember the importance of heart presence. Often what can happen as a human being is that we spend a lot of our time in the head presence of fear patterns, of drama patterns, of random thoughts, of worrying thoughts, of panicking about what we should have done instead of what we did do, or what is going to happen, or what might happen. All of these things are really driven by our ego, the ego of either not feeling good enough, or the ego of believing that we're better than everybody else. And these are not natural, these are not balanced. And these are certainly not in harmony with everything that we're connected to in this world. We are connected to our dogs, we coexist with them. We're connected to plants, we coexist with them. We're connected to every life form on this earth, we coexist with them. And it's about having that respect of ourselves and that respect for all other beings as well. Now again, often these patterns are created way, way, way back when we were children, way, way back from even when we look at it from a transgenerational trauma perspective, something that's part of our ancestry. But through these healing modalities that I've talked about in dogs, we can do the same, which means not only can we coexist with our dog, but we can also be in ceremony with our dog at the same time. So a lot of these therapies that I do, like my drumming, I do with myself and my dog. I equally use essential oils and floral waters on myself. I often do energy healing on myself using my hands, or I go off to see other friends and colleagues that offer the same form of energy healing. There are so many therapies that when we work with it from an energy system perspective, of course don't just work on our dogs, but work on ourselves as well. And to bring these therapies together, so we're kind of having therapies for ourselves and with our dogs at the same time, is yet another powerful way to heal. And so there are so many things that we can focus on to provide wellness and provide health for ourselves as well as our dogs. All the things that we've been through for this entire course. The fact that we are an indigenous human, that we have this indigenous blueprint because we are a genetically ancient human that lives in a modern day world. The healing techniques and therapies that we can use that have been used in indigenous cultures for thousands of years and that are part of our human ancestry. I've touched on some of those most basic ones today. The importance of Shinrin Yoku that I talked about within the Canine Wellness Wheel section of the course. The need to be out in nature, the need to be bathing in biodiversity, to have access to forest and countryside and lands that allow our sensory systems just to switch off, just to zone out, and just to have that opportunity to relax, to renew energy, and to regain health. The need to be present, the need to ground ourselves and how we are able to do that. the need for mental fasting, that opportunity of being heart present and how we should always live in heart presence rather than head presence. It's a really difficult one for us humans to do, but it's something that I really encourage you to practice and concentrate on every day, and it becomes better and better and better the more and more that we do it. Bringing in our plant medicines, our energy medicine, and also eating. The food that we consume is equally a medicine. It can either be a slow poison or health. The fact that we can eat a lot of processed food rather than food that is going to align and support our energy system. So when we're on a wellness journey for our dogs and finding ways to make their health span equal their lifespan, we're equally on a wellness journey for ourselves. We are not dissimilar for our dogs in lots of ways. And when it comes to supporting our dog's wellness, when it comes to having a coexistence with our dogs and having a partnership, there are 10 principles, 10 rules that I always apply on a daily basis. Some days I might get angry, some days I might get frustrated, some days I'm tired. Some days I might wake up already feeling a bit sluggish. On those days I'm going to focus on myself. On those days I'm going to invite my dogs into that space while I'm in ceremony. But equally, I have a piece of paper. I have a piece of paper with these 10 principles, with these 10 ways of coexistence I have with my dogs written down. And so as part of the bonus material for this course, I've written them down for you. And I really encourage you to remind yourself of how we need to be living with our dogs, the coexistence and the relationship that we can create so that we are having a relationship that is harmonious, that is calm, that is respectful, and that is loving. So when it comes to therapies and when it comes to canine wellness, of course, we can't have the canine wellness wheel without having the human wellness wheel as well. The human wellness wheel is not so dissimilar to the canine wellness wheel. Remember, first and foremost, at a biological need, at a fundamental need and a fundamental priority of any animal, regardless whether that is dog or goat or elephant or human, is the need for our cells, the need at a cellular level for the body to feel safe. So safety is key. Remember what emotions are and why they're needed in the body. Emotions are present to keep the body safe, to tell the body and to give the body direction and instruction of what to do when the biochemistry in the body changes, going from a state of feeling peaceful, restful and safe to one of unsure, threatened or in danger. Remember also that feeling one emotion for too long is also unnatural, and feeling those more negative emotions of anger, fear, anxiety, bitterness, resentment, etc., can also affect our ecosystem. So equally, it's important for us to have those balanced emotions and to concentrate on them and to have an awareness of them. It's also important to have an awareness of when bad emotions arise within our body, and when bad feelings arise, but maybe not to necessarily feed them, but just have an awareness of them and how we can support our body through different therapies. Some of those therapies that I've already discussed today as well. It goes without saying how any animal needs to have a balanced environment in which to learn, in which to coexist, in which to feel peaceful in, and in which to live. So of course, environmental balance also applies to us. And when we look at it within the canine wellness wheel, anything and everything from before birth to present day has an effect within the body. And that's no different in us than it is our dog. And so when we look at environmental balance, we also have to look at environmental balance in terms of how we developed and our lineage and our ancestry. Do we have any trauma that exists as a result of epigenetics? How comfortable do we feel in where we live now? How active are we? What is our social life, etc. Rest and movement for exactly the same reasons are also important. Rest because this is what our cells need to feel. From a survival perspective, the body needs to be able to have many opportunities and moments of feeling safe. Moments of feeling safe and telling the body that it's safe enough to rest. Rest is a form of healing, but rest is also an opportunity to provide stability to provide a way for our energy systems to be realigned and to provide for ecosystem support. Diet and digestion. Why would that not be important? Again, the problem that we have as humans living in a modern day world is that so much sickness is occurring because we are eating incorrect foods. We're eating foods that are not in alignment with our ancestry, not in alignment with our body being a genetically ancient animal, being a genetically ancient human that is so used to and so familiar of having food that is unadulterated, that is unprocessed, that is wholesome, that is fresh, that is live. There is so much data on there now and so much information about how food is causing so many illnesses, not just physical illnesses, but also emotional states, and how it's imperative that we educate ourselves of the connection between what we eat and how we become, what we eat and how that affects our ecosystem, what we eat and how that affects all of our systems, how it can affect our emotional state, how it can even affect our skin, our organs, and our functioning. Of course, disease isn't a concept that just applies to our dogs. The whole concept of where disease comes from and how disease arises in the body applies to any animal. And when we look at constitution, I suppose that's another form of saying character. Our dogs can be of a certain functional character. For humans, a similar process applies. Obviously, it's more complicated than that, but when we look at it in terms of ancient healing techniques and ancient diagnostic tools, things like 5-element theory, Ayurvedic practices, we can be a particular dosha, we can be a particular element, we can be a particular constitution. When we look at it from a homeopathic perspective, we can also understand types and also understand archetypes that we might be, and that can be a way to help us heal our ecosystems as well. Now comes those factors that apply more to humans. Career, finances, relationships. Those 3 factors that can either turn our body from being a parasympathetic activity to one of sympathetic activity, or one of sympathetic activity to parasympathetic activity. Situations and factors and experiences and circumstances that we are placed in living in a modern day world, but situations and experiences that we don't like, that hurt us, that damage our ecosystem, that interfere with our energy states and our energy systems. It might be a situation that we can't get out of, but if we have an awareness of how this can affect our biochemistry, how this can actually cause us to lose health, and where we lose health, we lose wellness and we lose energy. So therefore providing us the means to support our ecosystem, to support ourselves and to support our health. Of course, this is all about canine wellness, and if we don't support our health, then indirectly or even directly as a result of that, we are inadvertently affecting the health of our dogs. So remember, when it comes to wellness, human wellness, canine wellness, feline wellness, equine wellness, wellness of all animals, ecosystem stability is key. Understanding what an ecosystem is. Understanding that what we want to strive for is a resilient ecosystem. But if disturbances arise, having understanding that these disturbances arise first and foremost because there is a break, there is a challenge, there is pressure within the energy system. Having an understanding that wellness is key to ecosystem stability and how we can create realignment through all the many different therapies that are available for us and all of the animals out there now. Having an understanding, remembering that wellness includes physical, physiological, psychological and spiritual health and being connected with nature. This must include the ability to think clearly, have restful sleep, good diet and digestion, abundant energy, healthy skin, balanced behaviours and a sense of peace. Like Benjamin Brown says, all of those things are important for wellness.